I'm the editor, the videographer, so ulichimunza chikwasaganya.
I understand the process. It's a
Yeah,
lot of work, but it's also fun. As you do those things, you get to
to
have
learn.
experiences. Yeah,
You get experience and you get to learn. So like I teach myself how to edit, I teach myself to promote, to do everything. So you're
yeah,
getting skills in everything.
true.
Do you speak Luganda? I need
Yes,
to
I
ask
speak Luganda.
I
I
need to ask
mean,
you first before I I'm Bonnie Kibuka. On my podcast, the Ugandan Boy Talk Show, I've had an honor to sit down with some of the most incredible hearts and minds from Uganda, like Miss Uganda Oliver Nakakande, Joram Ozo Job, the Executive Director of Joram Model Management, Pastor Wilson Bugembe, and many, many more. On this podcast, you get to hear raw and real life stories of their journey, what they've been through, and the people that have inspired their journey so that they can make a difference in ours. Listen to the Ugandan Boy Talk Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Join the journey soon. Emmanuel, how are you, my brother? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm holding on this thing they call life,
Mm-hmm.
going through it
Yeah.
steadily and
See,
learning through the way.
one thing I like about life, I mean, life sometimes is hard and sometimes it's painful. But
Yeah,
one thing I like about life is there's some good things that come with life. One of the things is getting connected with people, and you
true.
being here on the podcast today, it's one of the things that I was like, I didn't know this guy like a month ago. You didn't know
Yeah,
me, you didn't know I exist, but like with life and connections, we
true.
connected, and then say talking back and forth, and then realizing some of the similarities we have. Even if like even when you were in Uganda, you didn't know about me, I didn't know about you, but there's some things that connect us, and I like
Yeah,
that.
experiences bring people together.
Yeah,
And I mean, the funny thing is, the time when we got to know each other, you're talking about something, like you're talking about being kid in school and all that stuff.
yeah.
And Rian is my best friend, so
Okay.
I normally talk a lot, and she knows I'm always talking about these things. So suddenly I get onto X and I see she has tagged me in the video. She's like, you would have a lot to say here. And then I tap it and I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
this is what I have been looking for. Like, no one really wants to talk about these things.
Yeah.
And yet these are things we have grown up with and they have really affected us. But the way it has been normalized, like, yeah, that's how we go through life. And
It's
it's
great.
also sad to see.
Yeah, it's crazy because this is a topic, and well, I didn't let my listeners know, but like Emmanuel, we got connected. Like he just talked about how we got connected, but it's something that was on my heart, and every time I get my guest, like I've never done it as a topic. It's always just something that comes up when somebody's talking about their like high school, their like what they went through. So then we'll
Yeah.
take bits and bits, but like today, I really wanted us to just talk about that in depth a little bit. And this is something I usually like write notes down of like something I want to ask. But today I was like, no, we're gonna just hit a freestyle from because these are the things we went through
Yeah.
in school. Like to be money, like it's things you went through, they will never leave you. And like you talk about them in your video. And the other thing we're gonna talk about is your new album, which it was kind of inspired by this topic that we're gonna talk about today.
Yeah.
Um but before we go into all that, let's run it back. You're from Uganda. Where are you catching this podcast from?
I'm in Berlin right now. I actually came to Berlin this year, which was a bit of a shocker for me. Finding different things and all the cultural shock and all that stuff. So right now I'm in Berlin. I'm staying with my wife this side, and yeah, I'm still coping with the changes. But
When did you choose to leave Uganda? Or what made you even made you leave Uganda?
uh, well, marriage,
Okay, okay.
because my wife and I met in Uganda, and the time she was doing social work and stuff. She was like a volunteer there.
Mhm.
And I was still in university. That's when we got to know each other. We became friends, and through all that, that's how we got to get we got together. We first became friends and all that. I got to learn so much from her. And then when she was coming back, we were like, okay, what next?
Mhm.
It's either we go together or she just stopped there. And
Yeah.
for her being with her, it's like I had never met someone so open-minded, someone who listens, someone who is willing to learn, and she understood me for who I was. She did not judge. She
Mm.
learned to know about me, and it was a beautiful thing. So yeah, we got married in Uganda, and I came this side after.
You mentioned Uganda. I mentioned Uganda. Fenatwakulira, Uganda. What schools did you go to?
Um, First of all, my dad is a teacher. My dad is a teacher, so you can imagine the pressure of being a child of a teacher. There are so many expectations. I started from in Tororo at first, then from Tororo as Rockview, that was in primary. Then we shifted to Chisubi. My dad was now teaching in SMAC.
Okay. Oh,
So
you
I
went to
went
Smart?
to, yeah, I went to SMAC for like a few years
Okay.
before I was
I
expelled.
went to Mapera. You should know Mapera because
Yeah,
Mapera
I know my
they were sharing
parents.
they were
It's
sharing
just
the
behind.
yeah, they were sharing the fence.
Yeah.
Now we're
But
gonna
then,
have a good conversation because I went to Mapera. I also went there for a short time, just I think Form 5.
mm, yeah, but before that, primary as Saint Donozio, it's also just behind SMAC, literally. Saint Donozio, then
I know.
I joined boarding school in P4. Then I shifted to St. Anthony till P7. Then I went to SMAC Form 1 to Form 3, Budo SS Form 4. Then SMAC, no, Marcos Form 5. Then I repeated Form 5 again in Marcos, then Form 6. Form 6 is when I went to Namirembe Hillside High School.
Okay.
And all these schools had different experiences,
Yeah.
traumatizing experiences.
Yeah. The funny thing is, you mentioned like 10 schools, or like, or maybe some of them you didn't even mention. So that's a good conversation because when you talk to somebody who went for more than 5 schools, they have a story to tell. If it's not school fees problem, then you know there's a lot of suspensions, there's a lot of
Yes.
so primary, yeah, I'll tell you my schools too. So primary, I went to a school, it's near our village. I mean from Wakiso. So I went to, it's called Naluve Rock Parent School. I think now they changed it to primary school. And then, so I went to one school for whole primary. And then I went to another school around our area, which is called St. John's Wakiso SS.
Yeah, I know St. John's.
And
My
then they
brother actually went there.
really, and then
Yeah.
they moved me. Then I went to Chisubi Mapera. So I went to Chisubi Mapera for 1 year. Then there's a story I'll tell you when we go into the episode. But then I had to leave Chisubi and go back to St. John's because Chisubi, man,
Mm.
life was getting tough. But anyway, it's funny. My primary school, Twalianga Kaunga, like we used to eat posho every day.
On a
Posho
daily.
every day.
With kawukumi,
Kaunga.
floating on top of the soup, not even water, on top of the
Yeah,
water, the colored water. And that was a daily thing.
yeah.
Like when I
It's
look
funny
at this,
you said you went to boarding school in P4. How was that like? P4. I went in P6.
it was horrible. It was horrible. Because when I joined there, my brother also joined in P1,
Mhm.
but he was in day. So I used to write a letter like every day to my parents. Every day I'm writing to my parents, please, I want to be in there. I want to come home.
Yeah.
And I would cry. I remember the first day I went to boarding. You know, when they tell you you're joining boarding at first, it's that exciting feeling you get. But then you remember this is school. I reached there the first night. I cried. I was just crying the whole time. I made friends with some guy who was in a class below, and he seemed so like for them it was now a normal thing. And again, there were children in because St. Anthony had a nursery section.
Mhm.
But now imagine finding nursery section, baby class, middle class, top class, with kids in boarding.
Yeah.
Like that really. shocked me. It showed me like
I
I have
think,
been living
yeah.
nicely.
And I think the reason why that is like that, because at this stage, people want their kids out of the house. Like, hey, go let the teachers deal with you. But
Yeah,
I wouldn't like that as a parent. Now I have a little daughter which is like 4 months. Like, she's going to daycare, but like, it's the reason because it's American life.
yeah,
America. My wife works, I work, so nobody's gonna have time to watch the daughter at home. So that's the reason why we have to send her to daycare. But I think it's the same thing, but I don't understand it in Uganda because not everybody worked in Uganda. Abamu basigalanga waka, the parents were home, somebody
yeah.
would take care. But I think the parents now, they don't want the burden of raising a child. It's like, again, go in the boarding school.
Go to school, and the funny thing is, they even say you hear them saying, "But when a holiday is getting done, mudeo kusomero," and like seriously,
Yeah,
because you start imagining the next time you see your parent, they have grown old.
yeah,
They are telling you, "Wow, you've grown tall, or you've lost weight."
hmm,
The next time you see them, they are growing older. You don't even get to see each other grow old.
yeah.
And then by the time you now come home, you're now starting your own life. You still have to separate. So it's like the only time we've had with our parents is when we were really little, and
Hmm.
that was the only bonding time. But once you start school, everything is about school,
Yeah.
school, school, school.
And I want to add on that because I don't know if this was like that in your school. I think it was because the whole system in Uganda is pretty much the same. Or boarding students, you go to school, like let's say January, February, March, and I think we get April off. Is it April or May? Holiday. So
Yeah.
if you're in a candidate class, you only get like 2 weeks because you have to prepare for your
Even
name.
a week.
Even a week.
Even a
So,
week.
and then some of the boarding schools, they don't want parents to keep coming to visit you. They only come for visitation day, which is one Sunday in the
Yeah.
whole term. So you get to see your parents just one Sunday. And if your parent comes to school to bring something, they won't let her see you because they won't get you out of class. Hey, Mama was there.
They send them out.
Yeah, leave what you brought here, and then we'll give it to your child when they get out of class. So really, if you add that, 3 terms, those are 3 months. You see your parents 1 month in every 3 months, and then so if you're in a boarding school, you only go home like you said in a week. If you're in a candidate class, so
Yeah.
you only see your parents for like less than a month in a whole year, and that's rough.
It's rough because also the only time you actually see your parent, it's about school. It's about how you're performing.
Hmm.
So if you've performed badly, that's a different story. Really, you may not get
I
anything.
know they'll take it back. I had friends. Your parent comes and they see a report. What good day? They take all the things back home. Then you get in the cow.
And the funny thing is, when you come out of school, when you come out of boarding, you're a different person because you've been having different experiences with
Hmm.
different people, with the teachers themselves. It's a whole different life. But when you come out, somehow people expect you to be the same, especially at home. They see you acting in a different way, and then you find the parents saying, like, you're now spoiled or what's wrong, but they don't know what's happening to you at school.
Yeah.
And when you try to explain all that at school, they don't really
Hmm.
give a shit. For them, they care. What they care about is a paid school fees.
Yeah.
What don't you have?
The thing, and actually, that reminds me one time when P3, and this time I was studying with my brother in the same class. So back then we used to keep the rabbits, bumiu, and we
Yeah,
would keep money at home to buy the rabbits. So we wanted to raise rabbits, and so we'll keep money. So this day, my brother, we had a friend in our class who sold rabbits at the school. So we're like, after class, we're gonna go to his house and buy the rabbits. So my brother brought the money to the school. It was in an envelope,
yeah.
and to this day I don't know, but the teacher made like an alarm there. It's like somebody stole my money, 5,000. They're in an envelope. So every since that day, I'm trying to think either a student knew we had money and went to the teacher and said, "Banobachari Vaina sent a envelope." So how did the teacher knew the amount of money in the
The
envelope?
exact
Like,
amount
yeah,
of
and
money.
and where it was. So then they started checking the bags. Mutiman. Then the heart was pumping. It's like my brother is gonna, because my brother had the money in his
Yeah,
backpack. We said no. So they were checking the bags in the whole class, and then the teacher finds the envelope in my brother's backpack. Oh, she caned my brother. Yamukbemigo mugongo kumutwe, pu, 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 pu. And then I was like, no, that's his money. Like, that his money. Like, I know he's been collecting that money. We've been collecting it together. And we're going to buy rabbits today. She didn't want to hear. She caned. And then she got me too when I started coming to defend my brother. She came and caned me too. And that day I remember we went back home. No, yeah, that was P3 because we were not in boarding school at the time. So we went back home and we wrote letters to our parents and we left them on the dining table that we don't want to go back to school. We wrote in Mugamba, we're not going back to school. We don't want school anymore. And then my mom had to come to school with those letters and met the principal. And that brings me to that part of like caning because abasajja baatukuba emigo. Like they would cane you.
I even have scars by the way,
Really?
like, up to now. Yeah, from like 2007. I still have scars. I have a scar here on my arm. Like everyone sees the scar, they're like, "What happened?" I'm like, those were canes.
Yeah.
A bamboo stick.
Bamboo stick,
I
yeah.
remember some guy, teacher. He was called Paul. Teacher Paul. He was the tallest guy in school.
Yeah.
That evening, because. No, that's when I had joined boarding. They used to make like we would literally do all the work in school. They would take us to the farm. We would dig because we are excited about getting out of school. We would be like, yes, we are going out, but we go to the farm, we dig, we come back. The harvest, we're the ones who work on the maize, taking it off the cobs, fetching water. Would fetch water. Now we had this blue tank that was like near the latrine. So whenever people would come out, they would wash their hands and they would get people to fill every day. Now that day, I didn't fetch water. I didn't fetch water. Other people didn't fetch water. Assembly in the evening, the guy comes with the list and his bamboo stick. The guy caned us. I got up and I last stopped crying because of canes in P4. Remember, there's a teacher called Susan. She caned me for what I didn't do. From that moment, I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not crying anymore. I'm not crying anymore.
We had some guys gagamba mzee Paul kumenzi kugwirewo, like, you know, like, yeah, we got to that where you get numb. Like canes don't do anything. Like canes don't change you. Like it was just crazy. Yeah, I became like that too. Like I got to a point where I wouldn't cry. Like even if you told me you're gonna cane me, like nothing would change about me. It's like, okay, I'll go down and then you cane me. And that's the thing. I think the clip that they shared with you, because I was thinking like maybe these teachers, they had their own betting going on in their staff room, and they were like, hey, how many did you cane? Literally, like and this now I go to like secondary because I came back. I was in boarding since P6 till I graduated Form 6. So in senior 1, tugenda kusomero, and then the first week back at school, I got 35 canes. Like in the first week, actually, the first week I had 35 canes, and those included speaking Luganda, Kulaini, like getting food, and I think I missed something. No kugwa exams. If you got 60 and above last time, and now this time you have 55, we're caning you the difference.
People used to receive for getting 89 and not 90%. Like, why? And I remember even as kids, like, for us, we started caning each other. And we were prepared. We were preparing ourselves, like anytime things are going to happen. So we started caning each other. And that's when Nigina had just started coming out also. Mm-hmm. So we'd get someone with big Nigina. You first lie down, like, I'm not feeling this one. You get a cane, you lie down, cane each other. Yeah. So that by the time you go for canes, you're ready. And then people even started going, like, at home during the holidays. Mm. Someone will tell you, man, I went and put ice on my ass. So you feel the nerves. So you'd find everyone doing all these weird things just to kind of go through that pain in a way that the problem came when they started caning on the thighs. You can't tile.
The other thing too, I don't know what did you guys ever? I think about you cut the jeans and then you cut the jeans and then wear some jeans under your
Yeah.
trouser. Night
But if they get you,
go.
if they get you, oh my God, those are just problems.
Yeah.
Because I remember we had this thing, we used to call it dining. And they say we go for dining, you know that's serious. They get everyone who has failed and stuff. Even if you've passed, but you've not passed to the teacher's expectations, you're going to receive. You go to the dining hall, there are like 10 teachers on the different tables. Each teacher is giving you like 10 to 15.
Yeah.
By the time you reach this side, you've received like 50 or even more, depending on how the teacher is feeling. If he's in a good mood or he's in a bad mood. And if he doesn't like you, it's even worse. And now when they get you, because I remember there's a time I tried that I put in shorts inside my shorts. They got me. They made me remove the shorts. They gave me in my boxers. That is actually triangles that time. You remove everything and you go to the dormitory, everyone is in the dormitory. You just look at your friends. People have scars all over their bodies. People have marks. And it's so traumatizing.
Yeah.
We laugh about it, but when you actually think about how we lived through that, because you wouldn't want to see your kid go through that shit right now. But how we lived through that, and we come out and we still laugh about it, and it's still happening.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's really sad. And actually, it reminded me of. I mean, there's this situation where I don't know if your school was like that, where they were not allowing parents to bring food from outside. Like boarding students, you can't eat from food from outside. Sometimes they will let you eat the food on VD, but even on some VD, they will not allow you. So we used to sneak the food. Like if your parents brings you like the rice and chicken, you sneak it into something, a backpack to your dormitory, and you have to eat it in hide at night. But I remember in my primary, we used to buy sambusas from outside, an outside shop. There's this one guy who used to escape every night to go to the trading center to buy the sambusas so we can eat the sambusas at school. But the things they made us go through, and I think I see that they were trying to protect us from like food poisoning and stuff like that. But high school was, no, like boarding school was just like a prison, like.
It was a prison itself. Because this is how our dormitory was. At night, we wouldn't even get out of the dormitory. We had a bucket in the corner. So if you want to pee, you can pee in the bucket. When the bucket is full, people just come and continue peeing. Now, the next day, the decker that's taking the pee out is then that suffers. You're carrying the bucket, the urine is all pouring on you. Any mistake you make, the matron canes you, because the matrons also had that power. They would cane however they want, they would do whatever they want. You'd be punished.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, when I talked to my mom about experiences in school, she told me about a time where for them, they even had dogs outside. Once there was a student who walked out and the dogs almost killed her. Like she almost died just because she came out of the dormitory at night. Now, you see how much we were kept inside. And then there comes this scenario of dormitories being banned. That time when Budo Jr. was banned and all that stuff, we started living in fear. I couldn't sleep because, any moment, someone could just come and ban the school.
Yeah.
Someone can just come and ban and everyone dies. People are locked inside. First of all, we had ghosts in school.
I thought it was only at school.
We have Kakarabanda. We have all those ghosts slapping people at night, and then you're worrying about someone coming and banning you as you sleep.
Yeah.
It was just horrible living in that kind of life. And this is something for them, the parents, like I said, for them, as long as they've paid school fees, that is what matters. So you're going through all that. You're worrying about your life. You do not have pocket money. You do not have what to eat. The only time we'd have good food at school is when we steal teachers' food from the staff.
Yeah.
Because the beans were nice.
No, for what I did for me? There's this lady who used to cook teachers' food. So I used to give her 500 shillings. And like on my plate, she would put some. But then they got, the principal or the head teacher found that out and they fired her.
It's real prison. It's real prison. And now, at least some of the schools that would let people take grab. But now, these other schools like Savio, my brother joined Savio after he left. It was horrible. No food, no pocket money, nothing. You just depend on the school food, of which these guys started playing games where they would bet their buns. Like, the bun you get with porridge in the
Yeah,
morning,
yeah.
it's what you would put there, like, as a bet. Like, now imagine you're going through that kind of life of survival. When you come out, you're going to be in a completely different life.
Yeah.
We are not prepared for what is outside. All they do is keep us in that cool mentality of you have to pass. You have to do it. But
Yeah.
as we are passing, they are teaching us to copy as well. Because if we don't pass, they are going to punish us. So we start copying in all those things, exams and what.
Yeah.
You come out, you literally know nothing about the world.
Now,
And
you bring up a very good point of like the way they treated us made us also come up with other options to
yeah,
go by, and it might not have helped us in the long run. So like if I'm scared to fail the exam, I'm gonna, like you said, I'll cheat, I'll copy, but that's not helping me to learn like in the long run. Yes, I'll tell you an example. They caned us in chemistry, and I tell people I wasn't good at chemistry, not at all. Like in the BIT being, I could not. So one time, chemistry teacher, paper one, I'm going to cane everybody who gets below 60. And I'm the guy who used to get like 55 waivers. I'm going to cane everybody who doesn't get below 6. I think we had really got too much canes. And go, but I'm going to fund a weekend. Yeah, like, I think next week I'm going to get like 25. So if I add on this guy's 10, I'll be in like 55 canes. Okay, but I need to reduce some of those. So we find out that this guy, he's bringing us one of those UNEB papers that there's a UNEB booklet that had all the old UNEB papers that people did, the questions. So this guy brought the 1992 UNEB again, and we had these books that had the question and the answers. So I read the first one, I go, I've seen this one somewhere. I read the second one, I go, I've seen this question somewhere. So one of the guys had that booklet there. So I bring it and I read. He copied word for word. I go in front of the class and I tell the class, how many of you want? And there were only like 5 guys who were good at chemistry. So I tell them I have the paper. Number 1 A, number 2 D, number 3 B. I read the whole thing, and then the results come back. Hey, yeah, now I think I'm gonna start caning you because once I scared you that I'm going to cane you. You all performed very well. Thank you very much. But like we don't remember anything. The only thing I remember are the numbers that I read for these guys, like A, all the letters. Number 1 A, number 2 B. We didn't learn anything, but because we're scared. But if the teachers helped us to learn, like, hey, you're struggling with this. This kid is struggling here. Let me help them. I might have been good at chemistry. Now I didn't have that opportunity. The classes that I was good at was something I liked. And I mean, some of the teachers might have been good at teaching too. So these are the teachers who didn't care when we fail. No go.
yeah. But the sad thing is, when you think about this whole caning thing, is, I mean, the thing of spare the rod and spoil the child, and also like, I joined a fellowship, some group. It's called Dark Spark. I think it was last year. I got to sign up for this thing, and they chose like 30 people around the world, and I was lucky to be part of it. So they got different artists of color around the whole world, and we've been doing things like music collaborations and stuff. We've got to talk to different people, and we also learned about history. They really took us back to history and colonialism and stuff. Now, when I actually went deep into that, you start seeing how our school is working. Colonialism has really impacted our schools. This whole thing of caning, these are things that colonialists came with and started by caning us, by pushing us like if they don't punish us, we are going to do something wrong. We are really stupid. We don't think unless we are punished. They started by doing all those things, forcing us to cut off our hair, to dehumanize us and like take away that identity. You know, when they force you to cut off your hair, it's like you're now left like nothing. You're easy to control.
Yeah.
This is the same system they used to set up their schools in our countries. And by doing that, we adapted the same thing over and over again. When someone's child outside here, and you see what they'll do to you. But in Uganda,
Yeah.
it's like a very normal thing. They're like, yes, omwana mukube amigo. Even parents come to school, yes, mukube,
Yeah.
mukube. But when you see that this actually started because of colonialism, this is how they brought us up, and we have continued taking on the same mentality. It's just not good. It's like we have continued to be slaves.
Yeah. And I think the problem too is having a lot of parents who are illiterate and parents who don't know a lot, because when they see what the other person did is the same thing they want to do to this child. And that's what I told about teachers, because teachers also, when they see another child in class getting 100, they think every child in the class is going to get 100, and then they'll cane you, trying to make you be like the other person. So our parents too, they did not take the time to remember, how can my child learn better? Not even schools. Our parents caned us. They caned us like with cables, with wires, and for them they think they're disciplining you, but in the long run, they're causing something like trauma to you. Because I'll tell you, even today, I mean, now it's getting better, but whenever I would see my boss, kumulimo, nemulengera wali, mpita wali. Like go like that. Because like that's how I was in school. Like
Yeah.
You see the head teacher coming over again. In 9 out of 10 again, he's gonna come up with something. Bakube emigo bakutwale ku office bakube emigo like yeah. Twachitaga cha kusala riziki. So ya kusala riziki. Oh, so we had someone we call it Nendia riziki. Hey, so hey teacher wada jawa Nendia riziki. Like, you know, they were like, I remember I love soccer. I love soccer a lot. I'm a big fan, and I started supporting Arsenal a long time ago. But we would get together with my friends. We talk about the games. Like we watch. It's fun. I used not to watch games. We didn't have a TV. But you go back to school and tell your friends about these soccer games and how they were fun. It's not fun in English. Like, and then so you find it to say in Luganda, and then when they find you, Ejomigo. And the other thing you talked about, how you mentioned something that even matrons had the authority to cane. There are some schools who let prefects kube amigo. We didn't even talk about that.
Prefects. That's why in this, actually, the beginning of the album, School is Ghetto, I talk about prefects and teachers moving around like the police. It's like they are the police just supervising, and they see you. Anything you have long hair, you're punished. You're speaking Luganda, you're punished. We are being forced to speak a language that is not ours. Like someone will ask us, why are you so good at English? You don't even speak your language. Like, yo, I was forced to speak a language that is not mine.
Yeah.
When I spoke my language, I was punished for it. We used to wear a basin, a piece of plastic saying shame upon you because you're speaking Luganda. And when they find you with it again, you caned. Why is it that serious? We are in countries where people are speaking their own languages. Here in Germany, when someone finds you don't speak Germany, they look at you in a weird way. In school, they're studying in their language. For us, we are being caned and forced to study in another language.
I understand the part where they were teaching us English, because I appreciated that I learned English in school, and then later on I came to America, which makes it easier for me to communicate with the people here. But the way they taught us how to learn that English, I could have learned it if somebody sat me down agamba boni. when you don't learn English, you're gonna have these difficulties. You won't be able to do this. You won't be able to do this. Because now we know what are your goals? Like this is. It's like I'll stick to my Uganda. Or if somebody you have bigger goals, then you'll be like, that will help me in the future. I'll learn English. But they cane you and they force things to you, and it's just traumatizing because now there are people who want to like that's the kind of thing. Like this is how we
I
learn.
was actually once like that. There's a time I wanted to be a teacher so that I could cane. I was like, I talked to my sister just recently, and she had always wanted to be a teacher. Then I asked her again, what do you want to be again? She was like, she wants to be, I think, a pilot. I was like, I thought you wanted to be a teacher. She was like, no, it's because I wanted to cane people. Because like I wanted to cane people like I was caned in school. But now, because I started having open conversations with my parents and my siblings about all these things, mental health and stuff, what we go through school, and they are becoming more open-minded. So at least when you see a child now changing from that perspective and seeing why she wanted to do that, it's a huge change.
Yeah.
It's a huge change. And I feel like those are conversations we should be having more often in Uganda as well.
But like without skipping that part of prefect caning, I don't think a prefect ever caned me. I don't know. Maybe if I don't know. I don't want to lie, but if they did, it was once. But I disagree with another student caning another student. Later on another student, but even teachers, like I disagree with the teachers just caning students. When I get it, you pay the same school fees. It's just because the other one are yambali tie because they're prefects, they wear ties and you don't. They should not cane other students. No, that's.
But somehow they have the power.
I know.
Now in SMAC, in SMAC, prefects were like our elders. They could do whatever they wanted. They could come like prep time, even if you just make any sound. They make you go lie down outside on the grass.
Yeah.
It's cold. There's already the moist. It's already moist and stuff. You lie down flat. They could even make you get your a toothbrush and scrub the grass. If they want, they take you. Now, once they take you to the HSC building, it's worse.
Yeah.
Or the HSC block, it is worse. Because once the lights go off, you just hear brooms breaking. And these brooms scrubbing. You just hear brooms breaking. You just see someone coming out screaming.
Yeah.
But what happens? Nothing. Like you go through life, and if you complain about it or if you report, that's more trauma for you because they're now going to bully you for being a snitch,
Right.
for being weak. So you find someone going through all these things. You're being bullied. The prefects are beating you. The teachers are beating you. You just come out different.
Yeah, the caning part of it, I really disagree with that, and I don't know if people now have realized that it's causing more trauma and more problems to the people as they grow. And we've had stories. You've shared your own stories about what it caused to you, and to me, I don't know. It's just I feel now that I've grown, I feel like there's a better way they could have told me. Like I feel like I'm not. I was, and I feel like caning made me be stubborn, made me become more stubborn than actually I was. Because I feel like I was a very humble kid, liked to learn. Even now, I love to learn. When somebody wants to teach me something, I'm open to learn. But I feel like when they caned me, I was like, okay, is this what we're going to do? And then I tried to be opposite. Like I tried to oppose. What are they going to do? They're going to just cane me. And when we got numb to those canes, it's like, you do it knowing what's going to, the result. Like, they're going to cane
it's
me.
now a normal thing.
Yeah. Like,
there's this time, this was I think in P5. The time we were via assembly, the prefects and the teachers were going through, and now they were getting people with dirty collars, dirty socks. Remember those socks of blue, white, blue? They got the people with the dirty socks, dirty shoes if you hadn't polished. You know those butter shoes those days.
Yeah.
If you've not polished, they pick you out. So they picked us out. they took us to some place they called a square. They caned us. They caned us. They caned us. They caned us. Then they made us wash our uniform. Then the headmistress came and took us to the kitchen and told us to carry logs of firewood to the field. The distance was long. And as you're passing there, you're passing between the dining hall, in front of the dining hall, you're sloping literally. So they told us to carry 100 logs of firewood each from the kitchen to the field. So we carried. I was so small. I would carry. Break time reaches, people are coming for break, going back to class. We reach the other side. As you reach the other side, the bigger boys are now stealing your logs. Stealing your log, you're like, I had 10, now I have only 2.
Yeah.
You have to get more. Until the headmistress came, like in the afternoon. She was like, okay, now you can take the logs back. We start carrying the logs back. As we are carrying back, people are now throwing for us who are small, more logs to carry. There's nothing you can do, you can't complain.
Yeah.
We went to class in the evening. We had a math lesson that evening. The guy first called us for not being in his lesson. He caned us. Then he asked for his work. The work he gave when we weren't in the lesson, we don't have. He caned us for not having the work. Then he was like, why aren't you in the lesson? Or on punishment. He caned us for being on punishment. So we received punishment for being on punishment.
Yeah.
And like, this guy was horrible. It's like he just loved seeing us sad, us crying, and all that stuff. So imagine this is a normal day. You're there for like 3 more months, just one term. That is a normal day. And I won't lie, I used to be caned at least every week. I would receive like 50 canes.
Yeah.
So now if I come out of school and that is how I have been, I'm going to come out different.
Yeah.
I've been having therapy of recent, and I started having nightmares about these things. Like, there are things my brain had completely covered. And when I started sharing it with my mom even told me there's a time I went home crying and I told her I don't want to go back to school because they are bullying me at school. I do not want. And I was really crying. For me, I don't remember any of that stuff. But I started having nightmares and it was horrible. There are times I would just wake up really screaming.
Can you believe how many people that dropped out of school because of caning, and people whose dreams died because of caning? And I respect all the people that were able to make it through high school through these canes, because really we went through a lot. I tell this to my friends in America that it's rough when you see somebody graduating school. I tell everybody, like, the day I graduated high school, and senior 6 is done, I was like, man, it's like a prison that I've been in for like 6 years. I was like, you've got on primary, I think finally. And that's why, like, when you graduate, it's a big deal. When you finish senior 6, it's a big deal. Wanange, migo. Like, it's crazy because I don't even know. But what we were talking about, I was like, I really want to find some of my teachers and host them on this podcast. Mubuze bibuzo. What is in the mind of the teachers? Because I really want to know what is in the mind of the teachers when they're caning. I don't know if they will be honest to tell me or open up, but I'm sure I can find somebody. I'm going to go on that. I'm going to try to find it. Even if it wasn't my teacher, I want to find a teacher who maybe is associated with other teachers so they can tell us what was behind that. Especially teachers in our generation. I don't know if this generation, they're better now, but the teachers in the 2000s there, and I want to know really what was on their heart. What if they tell me, like, hey, we thought we want our kids to perform, or what? I don't know. And then I asked them, like, did you ever think of just talking to these kids and see if they will learn, things like that?
Yeah. I feel like the way they were brought up as well kind of matters. See, I've seen our parents doing things and I was angry, but then I've come to realize that these are people who are doing things because they thought it would be better for their children. Even the teachers, you find the teachers who don't like caning, but they cane because they have seen the caning work and they believe like it is the better way to go. But then there are those who just like caning. Like for them, they just want to cane. We had this teacher who would teach English. That guy, anytime he would see a cane, he would want to cane. There's this lesson where he was teaching, then he sees a kid walking outside with a cane. Possibly he had been sent by a teacher for a cane. Then the guy is like, some of you need to be caned. Then he asked, first check, is there a cane behind the cupboard? And like this, and he sent someone for a cane. Then he brought a question. What's the difference between it's with an apostrophe, it's without an apostrophe? Unlucky for me, I was among the first people to be chosen. I was like, it's with an apostrophe is it is. It's without an apostrophe, I froze. The guy caned me. You know how you kill a snake? That is how this guy was caning us on the back. Like he would just start caning on the back. He got another person he beat until someone finally answered. Then we were able to continue with the lesson. Now there are those teachers who just feel the urge, and I feel like it also comes from their trauma. They're just traumatized, and they're putting this trauma onto other people.
Yeah, that is. I was thinking. Actually, I had a thought in my head that I was gonna think. Yeah, the thing that I feel like is still with me today that I got from high school is sitting in front. Or check it, like in front of class. You will never, even today, find me. Even at events, I got one event. Even if I'm the first one, I either sit in the middle or all the way in the back.
The back.
Sit to a muscle. Because it comes back from high school. Teacher ingi that he's pissed off. Atanikira kube maso.
Atanikira kugwe.
If you're lucky enough and somebody in the middle knows the answer, he will stop there. So then the people who are in the back, they survive. And that's the mentality I have. Like, or even if he does not stop, at least you get to hear Munga Akoye, so you won't get as hard of the canes than like those people in the front. But
Yeah.
it was so rough. But I want to ask you a little bit about your album. I don't want to ignore that. I want to talk about your new album so people can check it out. I've listened to some of your music. It's really amazing, and it's something
Thank you.
I can relate to as a person, and I love the music that I can connect with, like I love music a lot. I listen to music a lot every day, and when I listen to a lot of music, but then I make a playlist. Like I grab a song, I put it in my folder, like this song defines me somehow, or it helps me connect with something. So when I'm in a different mood, I'll play that song, and I have songs for different moods. And I found your music really interesting because it's connecting with, and I know you told me it was inspired by what you went through. Can you talk about that or talk about the album?
Oh yeah. High Thoughts. You can see High Thoughts Chapter 2, Chronicles of the Problematic Child. Like I'm literally putting my trauma there.
Yeah.
At first when I was doing all this, I was rapping and all that stuff. And then the time when I just got to meet my wife, like we'd have conversations about school. I would talk about the way we talk about what happened in school, and we are all laughing. I talked to them about school, and they were giving me the weird look. Like, imagine sharing something, you're laughing, and then you see people crying. I was like, okay, something is wrong with me.
Yeah, that's happened to me in America too.
And then she told me, like, I always hear you talking about these things, but I don't hear these things in your music. So that's when this is the album where I was really open to my experiences. I started thinking about whatever I have gone through, and I decided to tell a story. Was the fact is, school plays a big role, especially for us who have been in boarding. Like, you're in boarding your entire life. You meet different people, you meet different teachers. It kind of defines us in a way, because it's not like when you're in there, you go to school, go back home, go to school, go back home. No, this is your entire life. And these are things we have ignored. Like, you see, even most times when we talk about these experiences, we talk about secondary. But imagine the things your mind has buried about primary. All the times you were pained and all that stuff. So in this album, I tried to really be open about the experiences and stuff. How I started drinking. I started drinking like in senior 2, because there was bullying and all that stuff. And then I also tried to fit in. Now that's where Devil's Cocktail comes in, the second song on the album. I started getting into alcohol, and it became like a normal thing until this year is when I actually stopped drinking. But all that time, and my parents didn't even know about it. But for me, it was way normal and stuff. And then Dream is when like I actually really talked about my dreams. Like I just want to get done with school. I just want to leave this shit.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that at least most of the things I said in that song is like I manifested those things. I worked hard for them and I decided to really go. But yeah, most of the album is literally just expressing myself, talking about the traumas I have gone through. And I believe it can be a blueprint for someone who comes from where I come from. And for someone who doesn't really know any of that stuff, it's like a story. Like, oh, you guys actually go through this shit. Like when someone sees school is ghetto, why would you say school is ghetto? Like, yo, we were bullied in school. We used to steal to survive in school.
Yeah.
People were killed in school.
I
But we come out like it's nothing.
Yeah, I tell people that and they don't believe. Like there's a lot of behaviors we picked up in school, and because not because we wanted to, but it's because that's how life was and that's how we're being treated. I remember I would sell like I had like I think it was a cocoa, and I'd mix it with not drinking chocolate. I'll mix it with sugar, and then I sell a spoon to the kids for like 200 shillings. Like each spoon's like 200 shillings. Like, I can make money, and then like we escape from school so you can go get something good that you want or like eat some better food. None of that like was a diet, or like we didn't have anything like that. It's either you're gonna eat portion beans or portion beans,
Yeah.
nothing else, and you would want something and then you can't
Of
get it.
which the beans weren't even enough.
Yeah, and they were not even
Just
fried.
get soup. Not fried. The portion had flour itself.
Yeah.
The soup had those insects, the weevils everywhere. So
I swear,
it's like
we
we were
could
put on the
pick it
street
up.
to survive.
Yeah, you can pick those bean weevils out of there, or sometimes you can eat it without even knowing you ate it. And
Proteins.
man, that was torture. Hopefully, things have changed now. I don't know. I would love to talk to somebody about how current schools are in Uganda. I would love to have a conversation about that, the current, because what we're talking about is what happened years ago. But I really want to know how things are going right now. I would hope they're better, but I'm still sure they are still caning people.
Well, sadly they are. You see now, like schools now. In Form 6, that's when I went to Namirembe Hillside. That school was horrible. The headmaster welcomed me by saying, "You're from SMAC." I'm like, yeah, here we came. That was his welcoming speech in front of my dad.
Yeah.
He was like, here we came. I was like, okay. They caned me in that school. They caned me. You know this shit where you see a truck entering with canes?
Yeah.
Like, that is how far they would go. And it's still happening.
Yeah.
The school is still higher. Canes, they buy sticks from some person, like, yeah, these are sticks for this school.
Yeah. I was actually going to talk about that because I remember I had teacher about they used to buy this kind of canes. What do they call them? Some kind of canes they would buy and they don't break, and then they bounce
sticks,
like they bounce like that, and oh my gosh, and
bamboo sticks. Because now the bamboo stick, that one I can't forget. I have a scar here on my I can't forget that one. Then these teachers who would even put masking tape.
Yeah.
Then they first make you smell it. Smell this.
Yeah. Oh man, it's crazy that we're revisiting these memories from school and just talking about it. And I love to talk about this conversation. Hopefully, somebody who hears this will change. And I want our generation to end this, because now that I have my daughter, I know like I'm gonna try to discipline her, but I will try to find better ways on how I can discipline her than just caning her, because that's not the solution. If somebody wrongs, try other means of punishment without like caning or like. But I mean, there's also other people who can argue differently, because like if your child punches another child in the face or something like that, they can take different means of punishments. But what we're talking about here is a teacher caning you without you causing harm to anybody, without
For
you
no
doing
reason.
anything wrong, you know. So that was tough. And to all the teachers that are out there that are listening to this podcast today, or check out your music and to listen to what you talk about in there and what they made you go through, this should be an example for teachers. And I want them to just think about it. Like, if you do your best to train this child and the child forcefully refuses, I don't know, like it's not that complicated, or it's not that you don't have to. And we might not even have talked about, but there are kids who might have died from the way we're treated, you know.
Oh yeah, I actually have a friend who committed suicide
Mm-hmm.
just last year. And now that is why actually I also took a turn in my music to talk about these things, because at first I was making music for the moment, like, yeah, let's have fun, let's do that. But people are actually suffering. Me myself, I have had depressive episodes, mental health issues. My cousin literally almost burnt himself in the house just a few months back, and I had to argue with the mom recently because I was now talking to her about mental health. Like, for her, she kept on saying drugs, drugs, drugs. I was like, no, if you think it's drugs, why do you think he's doing the drugs? Look at the reason as to why he's
Yeah.
opting for the drugs, not the drugs. They're not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
This guy has been depressed since he was a child. He has had issues from home. He has had issues at school. He actually told me there's a time the teacher caned him because he wrote his names in small letters. The total number of letters on his name are 25 letters. So he had to receive 25 canes
Oh my God.
for writing his names in small letters. And now you add on all those things happening. Then he comes out of school. There's so much things going on again. People are having mental health issues. People
Mm-hmm.
are opting for drugs. People are opting for alcohol. But when you actually get to interact with these people, you see that people are going through shit.
Mm-hmm.
But since mental health is also something that's not really looked at in Uganda,
Yeah.
when you talk to someone, they're like, that's white people shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's white people shit. But we are
That,
actually suffering.
mm-hmm. No, that is true. And mental health is also another topic that I've talked about a lot here, and it's something I really like to emphasize whenever I get a chance to talk about it, because it's happening. Not a lot of people know about it. Some of them just suffer through it because they think that's the way of life, but really it's not. And I hate to hear that. But the other thing I was thinking about, besides the teachers knowing how to teach us, how to treat us, there's a lot of kids who go through a lot, even at school. You don't know what they're going through, what they're dealing with from home,
Yeah.
with their family, you know. And then you cane this child without even connecting yourself to this kid. Why is this kid performing bad? You don't want to know. You just cane. The kid will be like, this is a lot. Cane at home, cane at school. Things are happening at home. They feel like life is getting tough. But teachers don't want to know why the kid is performing bad. They don't even want to ask questions like, hey, how can I help you to be better? They just want results. They just want results. But this kid behind what you see, he's struggling or she is struggling with a lot of things in her life. If you had just opened up and just say, hey, talk to me. Why didn't you perform well? What's going on? How can I help you? That would change a kid's life. But when you go ahead to just cane this kid, pound, cane, this kid is going to drop out of school. Nothing is going to change. They're going to commit suicide because they feel like they can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So just the teachers out there who are listening, make a difference, be the change in the school, and save the kids' lives and save the kids' butts, because you caned a lot. I have scars on my butt to Nyamaya government.
And also we also need to be the change.
Yeah.
You're really doing the most with the podcast. And also congratulations upon your win. It's really dope, and I'm honored to be here with you. I mean, I'm on the award-winning podcast. What are people even saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, you see, we have the possibility to talk more about these things and enlighten people, because I feel like also one thing that we are lacking in Uganda is the people who are able to reach other people and actually talk about the things that matter. They just don't. Because I see most influencers, it's either they are body shaming people or, doing things that are instead making things worse for other people. You can actually just use your voice to speak for someone who doesn't have the voice. We
Mm-hmm.
have issues in Uganda. From school, people have been going through sexual assault, sexual harassment. From primary, I first heard about a teacher doing some shit to a girl when I was in P4. But going through all that and it becomes normalized, like it's now a normal thing. You come out, high school, yeah, it's normal. Secondary, where even the lecturers are failing students because the student doesn't want to sleep with them. So if you want to get out, you have give him some shit like that. And there was even a friend who told the other girl, like, you know what you want, just give him and you leave this place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we are reaching that stage and people are actually ignoring these things, these are the same people we see outside who are broken, who are suffering, who are crying for help, but no one cares. And people tend to blame the victims as well. When someone comes out and they're suicidal, people are blaming them.
Yeah.
Like, understand what's actually happening with this person. So I feel like we who have the possibility to teach or reach wider audiences, it's also upon us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I definitely like that. I appreciate, and I keep reminding people that for me to start this platform, it wasn't about the award, which I'm happy that we won the award. And when you do good things follow you, and that's something I've learned. Just do what you want to do. Just do something from your heart. And I was dedicating this podcast to just run these stories, and I do different stories. Anybody who's willing to be a guest on my podcast, and I like when you say that, oh, I'm honored to be on an award-winning podcast, but I don't want to lose track of what I've been doing from day one. I've told people
Yeah.
that even when I get awards, even when this podcast blows up, I'm not gonna forget where I started from, because I started with just having people just coming out here to share their podcast. I'm not gonna say, hey, you're not worthy enough to be on my podcast because now you have 2 awards or now you're the podcast influencer. No, this is a platform where we're gonna talk about these topics. No matter who you are, no matter
Yeah.
if you have one follower on Instagram, no matter if you don't know anybody, this is a platform where I want us to talk about these things so this message can get heard. And I'm really thankful for the stories we've put out here that have gone out there. And it's through the stories that I was even able to connect with you to have you on the podcast. So I'm going to still keep doing these stories and share our stories and help. And like you said, be the voice to the people who can talk for themselves or who don't have the platforms to use. And I appreciate you too for using your talent to talk about these things, like in music, singing about them, because the people who are going to listen to your music, they're going to listen to it, connect to it, like I was telling you, you're connected to it. And that's also another means of you putting it out there. So us, yeah, we have a job to do too, to help the kids out there. So Emma, I'm
Sure.
honored to have you on the podcast. I know this is just the beginning of the many conversation we're gonna have. Anytime we have an opportunity, I would love to have you and talk with you about it. Like I know we've never talked like we have now, but like
Yeah.
just through social media, I see the support, I see the love, and I see what you talk about, and I want to add on to that. And you see, you celebrate my wins and everything, and this is what I love about the podcast. I love this because I sit down here even after recording and I think about, man, so now I know Emma. He's in Germany. Like we've talked. Like it's
Yeah.
besides doing this podcast to put the stories out, it helps me as a person. Like I'm building my family community. Like
True.
now I know Emma. I'm gonna talk to another person tomorrow. I'm gonna talk to this person. That's an opportunity right there. Like I don't take that for granted because having these people, and people ask me, how do you get these people on your podcast? I don't know, it's connections, blessings. So
True.
I
And
appreciate
besides
it.
that, you're also making impact.
Hmm.
Like, I feel like that really matters. You've made an impact, actually. You have made an impact, and the impact is still getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing to see.
Yes, sir. So everybody, you want to tell the people how to connect with you and to connect to your music, where your music is, where they can
So,
find your music.
yeah, my music is literally everywhere. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. I've been releasing actually a series of the music videos from the album. It's been a lot of work, and also doing that is like I'm going back down memory lane because I have to go through those emotions
Yeah.
again and stuff. But it's a beautiful journey. So my music is everywhere. My socials, Drills the Rapper, Drills the Rapper, Drills the Rapper, literally
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah.
So yeah, go connect with Drillztherapper, and yeah, it's all connection, support, love, and that's all we like to encourage here. So, Grills, once again, I appreciate you and thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I would actually love to do this again. I have a lot to say.
Yeah, yeah,
I
for
have
sure.
I have a lot to talk about. So
Okay, yeah, we'll
anytime we can do this again, I'll be ready.
yeah, we'll connect and then find another time when we can talk about anything.
Sure.
All right, thanks, my brother.
All right, thank you. Peace.
Hey there, this is Bonnie Kibuka, the host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching and listening to my podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with a friend and recommend somebody to this podcast. Don't forget to leave a feedback on this podcast because that's how we grow. And also don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. Join us on our social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So we'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much and be blessed.